Alrighty, hey guys, welcome back to another video, and today we have some more dev replies on this thread right over here, the information about developments at Snowballing problem. So we have gone over this. It is this big thread that we went over, I want to say like about 2 weeks ago, right? As soon as it came out, I kind of went over it. So November 13th, right now is December, so it's probably like 3 weeks ago, right? So, there was a lot said here. There were a lot of changes that are coming to 1.5.6, as the devs have stated. And we looked over all this. I'm going to link the video down below to this video where I do go over this if you did miss it. But we did get a lot of new dev information that we are going to go over today. I'm going to link this down below if you guys want to go check it out for yourself. But let's get right into it. So we have about, I think, 7 responses. So let's do it. Alrighty. Oh, and by the way, for people who didn't know, this thread right here, which is, the developments about snowballing, the devs have pretty much made a lot of changes that have pretty much kept a lot of kingdoms alive for a lot longer now. Snowballing will be a lot less of an issue. And let me see if I can find one of these graphs to kind of show you what I mean. So this was a problem. This was kind of how it was looking. Some did very, very good, you know what I mean? And some just died out over time, as you can see. A little bit less than what is that like? I'm gonna say that's about like less than 50 years, about 40 years. You can see pretty much like 2 or 3 kingdoms are already dead, right? But after, let me see if I can find it real quick. This is the graph after a lot of fixes. As you can see right here, it's a lot closer together. It's nothing too crazy. There's nobody going super crazy. Yes, there's people who are still going to be on top. That's just how it works. But it didn't go all the way up here as the other graph did. And as you can see, after all these years, everybody is still alive. So very good changes in my opinion. But let's get back to the new info. Alrighty, so a player asked some potential solutions to this. So siege damage. Many above me also mentioned this to some extent. Sieges could cause damage to buildings, upgrades either temporary or semi-permanently. An idea on how this could be implemented: if a building receives damage, it starts as a temporary downgrade, but if it is not repaired X amount of times, the destruction becomes permanent. All permanent upgrades would then have the opportunity to upgrade at full cost. This could also be an area that perks could affect the chances of destructive damage, either for or against. As others have said, including Blood Griffin, he's a dude who, has a lot of good stuff to say on the forums. An occupy, pillage, raise type option would also neatly tie in here. Okay. We have talked about this. And I remember the devs saying something along the lines, and don't quote me because it's not exactly what they said, but I do remember it. It was kind of just a long time ago, where they did say something about making the siege process more like a 3-stage process, where obviously you attack the walls, then you go in, and then like there's more fighting to do in each stage, right? I don't know if they're still gonna go with that, but I remember that it was mentioned somewhere. That would be cool. This would also be cool, but it would be cool if it could tie into that other thing that they were talking about, right? So obviously the walls get damaged when you first go in, and then if you want to damage buildings, you have the option to raid, choose to either raid or just take over and stuff like that, right? That would be kind of cool. Alrighty, so the devs respond. Yes, the solution already thought. Okay, yeah, like I said, it's been said on the forums before. Only bad side of it is currently besiegers mostly win the siege and capture settlement. This is another problem, and yes, we should make this ratio less. That is true. There's not a lot of defender gameplay, but we have seen on the hotfix that they have kind of gave a little tweak to how besiegers, AI besiegers, look at a castle or a town and their numbers. Now they're gonna stay in the siege for longer than they would, because they don't see it as much of a threat as they did before, kind of like in their calculations that they do, right? Especially mission side, siege for player is so easy, not challenging. Its reason is now in Bannerlord. We have multiple ladders plus siege equipments for attackers. A number of attacker agents getting inside a castle / town per minute is more compared to Warband. Warband sieges seem really annoying with only one ladder, and agents were so crowded on the ladder or siege tower. They were moving very slow. This problem made Warband sieges more challenging for attackers. Attackers We're losing so much men during the siege of this problem. True. Now, here's how I would counteract that point real quick before we keep reading. So, so the warband sieges, yes, they were a lot more very crowded. There was only pretty much one way to enter, and you really had to fight for that one, and you really had to push through and lose a lot of bodies. Obviously, in regular sieges, it wasn't just one point of entrance, unless the castle was built very, 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 very well, and in those terms, those weren't really attacked. But most sieges, they had, I would say, you know, if it's a huge, huge settlement, probably hundreds of ladders. You know, like the sieges were a lot more, you know, kind of like, you know, crowd around and just overthrow in a way. But here's the thing. So if you give more options to the attackers, I think you need to give more options to the defenders. Now, there are options for the defenders, but at the same time, the attacker options are so much better. So the attackers have the choice to put up a ladder, right? Now, if you want to throw this ladder down, they you can see sometimes the AI kind of like pick up this like long stick and they kind of like push the ladder off. The problem with that is it takes way too long, and they usually get hit by an archer and then they run away. So there has to be a way, like, the ladder is an easy thing to put up, and once units are really on it, you can't even push it down anymore, right? And that's very easy to do. You know, you can put it up as the player, shoot an arrow or two at the guy who's trying to throw it down, and then your units are going to come in, and then it's never going to go down. There should be a way. See, there should be another way to kind of, you know, punish ladder gameplay. You know, there should be a thing that's already in the game that you can really put more rock locations where they can pick up rocks and then throw them down the ladder. Put more of those up. Make it harder. Make people lose if they go towards the obviously the ladder option. You know, obviously they're still going to get through because you're going to run out of rocks, but give them some rocks to kind of make the defenders a little bit stronger and hold them off for a little bit longer. Because right now, most sieges, you can really get inside the walls in a good, like, you know, 30 seconds, and you already have people climbing up into the walls, you know. And I think that, you know, obviously, if you're going the ladder route and you don't want to build a siege machine or anything like that, then you will lose more because there's going to be a lot more rocks, projectiles, and stuff thrown at the people climbing up the ladder. You know, so if you're going to add more entrances and more places that they can go in, give the defenders more options. There's a lot of options that you could look at historically speaking too. You know, they used boiling water. They used, in some cases, they used what's called even like oil, and then they set it afire. They use rocks like they use here. These are all things that were used and that can be incorporated into the game to make the defenders more defensible, you know. And in terms of sieges, you should lose a lot of people during a siege. It's literally you're trying to take over a very defended place. You know what I mean? Like, you should lose a lot. That's just how it works, and that's a risk you have to take. And then, you know, you have to really do the calculations there. You shouldn't be. And another thing that I've kind of talked about, you shouldn't be able to like start a war with somebody and then siege 4 or 5 of their settlements because you have very, very superior numbers. You know, there has to be, I wouldn't say a cooldown. Like, you should still be able to like be given the choice to do that, but there should be major repercussions. You know, and there's different ways you can do this. You can make the wounded system a little bit different. There could be severe wounds and minor wounds. And let's say a person gets hit by a rock and gets knocked out. That's a severe wound, you know. That's like a broken bone, this, and that. It's not like, you know, them getting hit with, like, you know, really hard by a shield and they get knocked out. It's two different things, right? You could do that system. There's different ways you can do it where it's not like very negative towards the player experience, but kind of like makes the players kind of think about like, hey, can I do another siege after the first one? I have a lot of severely wounded troops or something of that nature, right? I don't want to get too off topic. I've been talking a little bit too long about this, but there's ways to do this. There's definitely ways that you can improve this concept, right? All right. So when any attacker makes his first steps on enemy fortification, he was attacked by many defenders at the same time, and there was only one entrance. Also, while attackers are at ladders, they were attacked by defender archers. Anyway, this is another topic. Let's move on real topic. Yeah, it is another topic, but hey, hopefully what I said kind of, you know, in a way kind of provides people like kind of a solution. You know, obviously, it's not the most thought out solution, but it sounds good, right? I feel like it could work in theory, right? Anyway, this okay. So, and after taking fortifications, winner's side will be unhappy with destroyed projects. We have this optional, and if we damage projects, if and only if attacker builds catapults or trebuchets, then nobody will build catapults slash trebuchets at preparation phase for current situation. If we make catapults slash trebuchets very effective and a must for taking a settlement, which is far from current situation, then this damage can be accepted by player. Interesting. Well, yeah. Here's the problem with this, right? So obviously he says if we make him damaged, the winner usually is the person who's sieging it, so he's going to be left with all the repairs. That makes sense. So you wouldn't build the stuff that's going to break your future businesses. Now, I feel like there's some stuff that we can do in terms of like reasons to siege a place. Now, historically speaking, people didn't always siege just to take over that area, if that kind of makes sense, right? You would siege for a variety of reasons, right? You could siege just to hold people up inside the settlement. You can siege because you want them to pay you something to just go away. So if we had these options of different reasons to siege instead of just running in there and just taking it over, like how can I explain this? So let's take a like a movie slash show perspective real quick, right? So the Vikings. I don't know if people watch it. I know most Mount and Blade players, you know what I mean. They enjoy Vikings as a TV show. I very much enjoy it as well, right? And there was I'm not gonna give any spoilers, right? But there was a big fight for Paris. This is historically accurate. There was a fight for Paris. What happened was they weren't fighting to take it over, if that kind of makes sense. They were just fighting because they wanted to, kind of in a way win and also just pillage and then run back out. That's, what I mean? Like even story-wise, like historically speaking, that's kind of what happened in a way, right? So you can give that. What am I trying to say? If you give players like that option of like, hey, or if you give like players like the option like during your siege, one of the leaders might come out and talk to you and be like, hey, we'll pay you this much to just go away. Or something like that. If it was more dynamic and there was more choices on why you're sieging, then there would be reasons to make catapults and trebuchets and reasons not to make it, right? So, obviously, if I wanted this for myself, I don't want to destroy it, I wouldn't make it, right? But if let's say, if I wanted to just pillage this place or force them to give me stuff or like give me money or dinars, right? Then I would build them and kind of keep sieging them and kind of overwhelm them. Do you know what I mean? Like if there was choices on what you could siege for, if you were given options, I think that would fix this problem as well. I feel like I'm having a lot of good ideas here. I don't know. You know what I mean? My brain's working, I think. Or Besieger can make siege not for enemy town, but only for damaging his projects and enemy economy. But for still sieges should be better for defensive side. Otherwise, they will do that rather than taking town. Attackers should lose 4 to 6 more men compared to defenders, especially if only attacked with ladders. But can easily do this in simulation. But if mission side is very different from simulation, it will not work well. Okay. So yeah, obviously they should lose more. That's kind of how it works, right? Okay. So I know current siege design do not need siege equipment much for player siege especially. And this is something we need to develop. I informed mission side about this problem a long time ago. We need to better siege defense AI, especially archers. More challenging sieges. We need more AI mechanics, such tactics, such equipments for better defense at sieges. Yes. That's exactly what I just said. We need more rocks in different locations because only sometimes they have it. We need more places close to the ladders, close to this, because that would make sense. I think there should be a way to actually break the ladders. I think if you hit the ladders enough with like let's say a rock, you break the ladder, and then guess what? You should place like these are just ideas, right? You should be able to break ladders, and then you should place the extra ladders somewhere where the camp setup is, right? You know, every siege has like a camp setup, and whenever a ladder would break, let's say six troops would then carry the next one to the position, something like that. Like I feel like that can be done. Same way they carry the ram to the front door, or the siege tower to that. I feel like you can do this too. I really feel like, yeah, you can really do this. The player can feel he should build siege equipments to take that town. After all, these can add damaging project. Wait, these can. After all these, we can add damaging projects during siege preparation / siege mission phase. So to apply this solution, we need to solve other problems first. Otherwise, it'll be not very user friendly. And this is obviously the warband siege, where it just has one position. Not gonna play the video, but you can play it obviously, because I'm gonna link this down below. And I'm gonna go over this. I'm gonna make this probably in like 2 parts because I'm doing a lot of talking, so I don't want to do like a huge long video. Plus, I'm not really feeling my voice. It's kind of been cold outside, so I'm getting kind of like a little flu in a way. I wouldn't say flu. You know, like when it gets colder, you start to develop the symptoms, right? But we're gonna go over this post real quick, and then we have a couple more posts I'm probably gonna make into a little part 2 video a little bit later on when my voice feels a little bit better. But alright, it is great to know that the actual developers know the issues about sieges, which mean they will fix them. Really, thanks. Okay. Alright, developer response. Unfortunately, knowing the problems does not mean that they will be 100% fixed. True. I'm trying to underline this problem for a long time. Started 2-3 years ago. Jesus Christ. However, the situation is still the same, so I cannot give you a guarantee for fix. For any problem, possible solutions need to be found, and these solutions need to be approved, and then lastly, they need to be applied. However, step 2 is a bit hard to pass here. For example, currently a new feature of rebellions is added to the game. According to design, after rebellion occurs, a new clan is added to the game. Really? I didn't know that. So they are following my... It's probably not just my idea. I don't want to be like that guy who's like, it's my idea. No. But what I've stated is, we need a... Well, it's probably not going to happen the way I stated it. But here's my thought process. To make it ever expanding and just the world to just, keep like surprising people, and so much replayability and so much storytelling that you can kind of, make into the game, you need the function of major kingdoms falling and minor clans turning into major kingdoms. You need that. I feel like it's, you make a mod like that, it will become so successful. It's crazy to me. Like, a major kingdom, if it just, let's say, if a major kingdom loses its leader clan, like all that family, it needs to be renamed or something like that, right? So it changes to a different thing. Or, for example, if they get too small and pretty much they get taken over in a way, one of the minor clans can actually seize some of that and make an alliance with the current losing kingdom, and kind of just like get more men together and then build up a new kingdom under a different name, under a different leader. And if we just had this over-expanding, like, major kingdoms fall, minor clans ascend to the top, and just like, it would be so cool. I just want to make that into a mod, man. I'm sick and tired of talking about it. Make it into a mod. God damn it. No, I'm just kidding. But, no, that would, oh my god, just think about if that... There's so much possibility with that, it's just like this ever-changing world, as the world is, and it would just feel like, oh my god. I could probably have because I have a very long YouTube playthrough right now, but if those features were in place, Jesus Christ, you would see episode 1476, and you'd be like, how the hell do I even catch up? If that was the first episode you saw, you'd be like, how do I even catch up? You know what I mean? Like this ever-changing story. It would be so good. God, alright, sorry. Let me just continue. Yesterday I made a new test and collect data to see if everything is okay after Rebellions is implemented, and see that total clan count increases 1.5 in first 20 years. So, total clan count increases 1.5 in first 20 years. So Lord Party counts 2. Actually, Lord Party count became 2 times more than clan count increased because of all the clan tiers up and spawn more parties by time. Sorry about that, someone's texting me. I prepared charts, graphs, tables, and reported problem. So pretty much what he's saying here is over time, the amount of clans will grow, because obviously every time a rebellion starts, a new clan will be added to the game. Therefore, you can seize these clans and actually, make them part of your kingdom, which is great, amazing, thank you. We need this, especially with deaths added. You need a way to reproduce. If you're gonna add deaths to everything, then in a way you need reproduction as well. So they have added stuff like, more babies being born, more AI being married. They have, continued to add this stuff. They added obviously the tier thing where if you're a certain tier, the more parties you will have, or the more leaders that will lead parties you will have. So a tier 5, I think, has like what, 3 to 4 or something like that, compared to tier 1, which only has 1, right? And I think that's very good. And the fact that once children grow up, they will actually join those parties instead of now, which they really don't, in a way, kind of. You know what I mean? They do, but like, I don't know how to explain it. It's not fully fleshed out yet, right? But with this, adding more clans makes sense. Clans do spawn over time, that's just how it is. And obviously adding more parties to each clan over time, because obviously their tier goes up. It just makes sense, and it's, yes, you need that ever-growing, like, dynamic. And like, it's great to see. It really is. Offer 2 different solutions for fixing the problem. NPC clan tier up 50% slower. Yes, it is a cheat, not perfect solution, but we need to slow down tier up process for NPC clans to lower number of parties for late game. Fast tiering up of NPC clans is not important thing for gameplay. It is only important for those players to feel progress. And rebel clans can be removed from the game if they cannot hold their initial settlements. Most cannot hold. That kind of sucks. I don't think they should be removed from the game. I don't think so. I feel like, here's what it is. I feel like they can seek... What would be very, very cool is that the Rebellion clan can seek out another kingdom to take them under their wing. Or have like an alliance with that other kingdom, therefore, having a bit better chance. Because the way I see this is a lot of them aren't going to survive, which kind of sucks. Now, the whole NPC clans tier up 50% slower. Yes, it's a temporary fix, not the best one. Here's my idea. Make it so we can lose renown. Make it so it's a losable thing. Now, with that being said, if you create a kingdom at clan tier 4, if your clan tier goes below clan tier 4, it's not like you're going to lose your kingdom. That's not how it's going to work. Like, once it's declared, it's declared. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, for other things, like how much parties a clan can have has to depend on, if you're keeping up your renown. If you keep getting beat down and keep getting destroyed and keep getting this, you're not going to have the luxury of multiple parties. I feel like losing fights, and I think even once you're like, I'm not saying there should be like a clan renown degrading system, but I think there should be at the very highest levels. So clan tier 1 through 4, there isn't much degrading, but you can still lose for losing fights, sieges, and just overall stuff. Even tournaments, you should lose renown for those things, right? From clan tier 1 all the way to clan tier 6, you lose for those things. After clan tier 4, though, or once, let's say you're on clan tier 4, there's a degrading process from the beginning of 4 to the 6, where the higher you are, the more it's going to degrade over time. You have to keep doing great things to make sure you stay at this great level, right? But once you hit, but the degrading stops as soon as you hit like the 4 mark, right? So you'll stay at 4, but above anything that, like, let's say you're clan tier 4 with like 50% progress to the next one, there's going to be a small little degrading thing every single day that you have to kind of keep up with. I think a system like that would be great, but at the same time, NPCs might fall very behind with that system. So then you have to think of a way for the NPCs to not fall behind. Again, it's a lot of stuff to think about. I'm just shooting out ideas, and hopefully they kind of make sense, All right. All right. So these 2 solutions were solving problem mostly without damaging other mechanics. However, they are not accepted Wait. However, they are not accepted and no new solutions is offered yet. So this problem is left in the game. Okay, so currently number of clans / load parties at game consequently increases after rebellion feature. All efforts done previously for balancing game is damaged with this addition because we have 2 times party on map at late game, 20-30 years before starting. Okay. It was 1.3 previously. Okay. So settlement per clan decreases by half by time. Wait, so settlement per clan decreases by half. This decreases to... Oh, okay. So obviously if you add more clans, then that makes sense. You add more clans, then less settlements will be in each clan. Okay. So less taxes. This increases ratio of poor lords, so parties start to recruit less people to their parties. When all lords are poor and have less men, they start war and all world go into peace. Also, because of income decreases, Kingdom stopped hiring mercenaries late game. As summary, lots of balancing game mechanics get hurt after one new feature. Alright, now here's my solution to this. Now, I think we should add some form of investment. You know, some form of investment that you can take depending on what settlement you own. If it's a settlement next to the sea, you can invest in better fishing. You can invest in better trade throughout the world. You can invest in stuff that makes that settlement that you do own produce more. You know, this will have to have a lot of balances and a lot of features, you know, that are added in that. But I think it makes sense, and I think it in a way will solve this issue of having less tax income, and it will also make the settlements you do own very, very powerful. So later in the game, which is, you know, these are going to cost you a lot. They're going to take a long time to build. But once you do build them, they're going to be worth a lot. And therefore, this will actually decrease the ratio of poor lords because lords will invest into it early on, and then it will become way better later on. So something like that, you know, there's actually so many different things you can do in terms of income, and just, you know, there's a lot, you know, there's a lot of stuff that can be done, but I understand the concept of, you know, you add one feature and might break 17 different things into the game. That's just how it works with games like this. I understand that. So it's a thought, but I get what he's trying to say right here. I'm trying to give an example. As a dev, we are not in a so different situation with players. You play the game and see problems, and you offer different solutions to your valid problems. And when you see there is no development by your problem for a long time, you can feel that your possible solutions are not cared. However, it's similar for us too, and knowing the problem sometimes does not mean it will be fixed. It prepares tables, offers solutions, and sometimes nothing is done. All right, makes sense. So data table after rebellions. So after rebellions, as you can see, clans pretty much double in 30 years, and they're all poor. Player count at map after rebellions. Party count. Yo, low-key, that's sick. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I get the problems that come with it. I do understand, like, you know, this looks amazing. There's so much more parties, so much more movement. But then all of a sudden, it's just like, you know, I think a big discussion that needs to be had, especially now, since we're adding this, I think we need to start adding, like I said, stuff that gives us income. Workshop upgrades. Caravan upgrades. You could really get caravan upgrades, you know, bring back the 60. Since there's so many parties going to be on the map later on, they're going to be able to fight bigger caravans. Yes or no? So I think over time, you start off the game, you get the 30-man caravans, and then, you know, you can spend, let's say something outrageous like 50k dinars to make them into a 60-man caravan, and so, you know, by the mid game, by like around here, you can have 60-man caravans, but there's going to be a lot more parties that can deal with those. So we need more income upgradable stuff to make this viable. You know, it's kind of, I feel like it makes sense, and it's a good time for it. You know, workshop upgrades, caravan upgrades, like I said, make the investments a thing. What else can you do? Like, I'm just thinking of stuff you can do. Tournament betting, make it a little bit more extensive. What else can you do? There's a lot of minor other stuff that you can add, but I'm just saying, like, I think it's time we added those features. I think it's long awaited, and I understand obviously what he says right here that sometimes you have ideas and you have that, but it's just like you gotta do certain things, and it's just it might seem like it's forgotten, but it's not. I get that. But I think if this is the trajectory we're going on, if we're going into more people and more people are going to be on the map, therefore each person's going to own a little bit less of it. Make those points count. If someone owns a town, make that town. If you fully upgrade the workshops in there, the this in there, the that, and the third, if you do all that, that one town will provide you very, very, very good income. And I think that will solve a lot of issues. But I'm done for this video. There's a lot more information. There's like 2 more pages of it, and I will go over it another time. This video is already very long. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully it was informative. Ask me any questions, any concerns, and like always, stay safe.